Welcome back, everybody. Today I want to continue my discussion on Myanmar and specifically how it is living here as an expat, right? And I know there's probably a lot of you out there that's wondering, like, why would I try to convince people to come live or to consider living in a war-torn country? Like, it's a little bit crazy, right? Because yes, there are risks living here. In my previous video, I said that it's safe. I said that there's reasons that it's safe, but there are also risks, right? There's risks living here. For example, in the last 2 to 3 years, there's been about 4 or 5 bombings, small bombings, but very targeted bombings in Yangon, where I live. And there's been a few local people that died because of those bombings, right? We don't really hear about it because it is so small, but those are the risks that you have living here, right? But the reason I want to give you this option of coming here or just knowing more about this country is, sorry, that's my notes. I do have my notes below me. Is because I know firsthand what it is, how difficult it sometimes is to find a job as an expat. Like, whether you're a teacher or working in an NGO or embassy or whatever, it is difficult. And sometimes a country like this is your only option. This is the only job you got, right? So you're watching this because you're stressed and you're worried and you just need some more answers, right? That's the first reason. The second reason is there's people out there that has a personality that they need to chase excitement. They need to live in a country where it's exciting for them to live. In probably like my second or third, I think it was my first video, I spoke about how to overcome the boredom of everyday life, right? And this is a country where that is very possible, right? So maybe you are just seeking more excitement in your life, or you're the type of person that truly wants to give of yourself. You want to help other people more than just a normal person like most of us, right? You want to be in a country where you can help improve the lives of other people, where there's a need for you. And this is the perfect country to do it in, right? And so hopefully these videos does help you a little bit more to make those choices and to take away a little bit of the stress. Okay, so the first thing that any expat living here needs to make is, how much do you want to get involved, right? In my previous video about Myanmar, I said that a lot of expats live in a little bubble. They choose to live in a bubble where they only focus on the things that affects them, that they care about. And they don't necessarily care or like get too much involved in the country that they live in or the community or the people, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm not going to judge anybody for doing that, and I explained why in my previous video. I'm not like that, and I don't think many other expats are like that. Like, we want to get involved. We want to learn more about the country, right? We want to help where we can. Like, sometimes you are going to have to get out of your bubble and out of that comfort zone. And what it means is, like, you're either going to provide, like support NGOs or orphanages or schools or fundraisers financially. You're going to give financially, right? Or you're going to, like, identify a need, a physical need, and you are going to physically become involved in a certain situation, right? But basically, you need to make the decision of how much are you going to keep and how much are you going to give of yourself. And it will affect you, it will change you, but I think that is always a good thing. If you give of yourself, whatever change comes of that is going to be a good change, personally, right? Right, so that's the first thing. Then let's talk about the city itself, or the cities like Mandalay, Yangon. Like, I have never been to Mandalay, so I can't really say, but what I've heard about Mandalay, really a nice city, really a beautiful city. Many expats live there. It is safe, okay? But Yangon itself, Yangon looks like any other Southeast Asian country that was colonized at some stage. There's so many colonial era buildings like everywhere, yeah, especially in downtown, and like these buildings are so beautiful. The problem though is that a lot of these buildings, they're massive. Okay, so they look a little bit. They're not being cared for. Like some of them are standing empty, some of them have occupants in them, but it's big buildings, so they can't really put too much money in it. So the walls, the paint is peeling, the walls are full of moss, the courtyards are overgrown. So you have these beautiful buildings, but then you also have this I can't remember the word, dilapidated, I don't know. Anyway, that word. To these buildings, this aspect, right, to these buildings. And then the rest of the city, you have here low-rise buildings, like more Asian type low-rise buildings with shops at the bottom, apartments on top, poorer areas, a little bit more richer areas, looks better. But then the entire skyline, wherever you are in the city, you can see the Swedagon Pagoda. This 325 foot gold-plated pagoda, beautiful pagoda. And when I say gold-plated, I mean real gold. And the structure is inlaid with thousands and thousands of diamonds. Like I'm not bullshitting here. Yeah, it is a beautiful pagoda, right? But it stands in stark contrast to the rest of the city. Like it's so beautiful, and massive parts of the city is so poor and struggling and dirty and stinking. And so you're like, if I think about like the major religion in Myanmar is Buddhism, right? And as a Christian, and I know that most other religions, like one of the most important things is you look after your neighbor, you look after people that's in need, right? And so in Myanmar, you've got thousands and thousands of these statues, and they are really well maintained. And I'm thinking to myself, like, can't you spend that money on your people that's struggling, that's hungry? It just doesn't add up. I don't know. That's a topic for another video. But I just sometimes look at this and I'm like, this doesn't really look right in this city. But anyway, it's still a beautiful pagoda, very, very nice. So that's sort of the city, and you have the sounds of a Southeast Asian and the smells and everything. So it's a very vibrant, busy city with cars and all of that. So yeah, awesome, beautiful city with these little things happening. All right. The next big thing for an expat, I would say, is our jobs, right? This is the first country that I lived in where the majority of my friends aren't actually teachers. I'm a teacher, right? And so normally you make friends with teachers. But there's so many NGOs, there's a lot of NGOs in this city, in this country. And then the embassies, they play such an active role in our day-to-day lives. And I'll get to that point a little bit later. But there's so many people that work in these different fields. And so you meet people, and I can't really speak too much for those occupations, but the people that I've spoken to, my friends, they love working here. They absolutely love working here and love living here. So much so that a lot of them have been living here since before the coup. Like that was before 2021, they've been living here. Like, so they really, the city, specifically Yangon, grows on you. I'm struggling still. I'm still struggling because I lived in Vietnam and it's such an easy country to live in. And yes, Yangon is a little bit more difficult to live in, a little bit more difficult to adapt to. And I'll talk about the bad things about being an expat in Yangon or in Myanmar in my next video. But I am still adapting and I'm still struggling a little bit. So I think that it does take a longer time to grow, or to like it here. But once you do, like, you stay here. The people are friendly, people are like real, and most of the expats like their job. Like as a teacher, there's I think there's 4 main international schools here. I work for one of them, and the school that I work for, I really, really love. And I'm not saying that. I really like working for the school. This is the first school that I've ever worked at where they say they take care of their teachers, and they actually do. Right, they actually do that, and which should be a normal thing, but unfortunately it is not. And then the school really takes care of us. And so if you're a teacher, like working here in these other schools, I think is quite nice as well. And then there's smaller international schools as well, public schools and all of that. So yeah, work related, I think people really, really like working here. I do, so, and most of my friends do. Then the next big thing, of course, for any expat, most expats, I would say, is the social aspect, socializing. And I'm not talking just about drinking. I'm talking about getting out, meeting people, talking, playing sports, you know, and then you're drinking and having parties and doing all that sort of stuff, right? And here is where the embassies are playing such a big role. Like, I've never been in a country where embassies play such a big role, and I might be wrong, of course. Maybe I've never noticed it, but you notice it here specifically. Like the embassies, they organize so many events on a weekly basis. There's every weekend, there's something that one of the organizers or one of the embassies organize for us, not just expats, but for locals as well. We've had wine and cheese evenings. We've had French and Italian food days, like a whole entire Saturday or Sunday. We've had movie nights. We've had dances. There's always something to do, right? And they sort of have to, because socializing, communicating, getting in touch with people, it's mentally, it's a good thing, right? It helps with a positive mindset and a positive outlook on life if you can interact with people. And so if these embassies don't organize all these things, like, it's going to take a big part of that away. Not to say that there isn't any, like there's so many clubs, there's so many bars and restaurants and pubs around the city, and they organize stuff as well. So you've got sort of a big option every weekend. Like, even during the week, you've got options of doing things, of socializing, of being active. Like I said, it does take a little bit longer. And the reason for that, and this is something that I really struggle with, and something that's probably one of the biggest causes because I'm still, the reason why I'm still like adapting to the city is the places, the hangout places is not in one localized position, area, like in Ho Chi Minh City, where it's all in Tao Dien or in District 1, right? The places here are very spread out. So I can go out with my friends and never see another expat that entire night because they are somewhere else in the city. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult to meet people unless you go to these events. But if you don't go to these events, it's very difficult to meet people, and there's not always events, of course, right? And so that is a big issue for me specifically. It has become less of an issue because I've joined our local climbing club, right? And for me, joining a sports club is probably the best way to meet friends. Like, to make friends, to meet people, is joining a sports club. And unfortunately, the sport in the city is just getting back on its feet. Like, it took a big knock during COVID. It took a big knock with the coup that happened. And so there was a rugby team here, I think there was netball at some stage. There's been baseball teams. There's been pool teams. And touch rugby is just getting back now. But I never knew that before I got here that there was a climbing club, like an indoor rock climbing gym, and a group of people that climb every Thursday and every Sunday. And we've got 2 trips that we go to Laos every year. And so I went and I met these people, and they have really become my close friends here, or like very good friends here now. And because they're not just teachers, they come from different like NGOs or the embassies. And so through them, I meet more people. And it will be the same for you. You join a sports club and you meet people and you expand your friendship group like that. So you don't have to be lonely here. You probably will not be lonely here because there's so many opportunities, right? So also check out, that's also a video that I spoke about, is how to find your tribe as an expat, right? And it's actually my best video at the moment, so check that out. Then the last thing about living like sort of the day-to-day life as an expat here in Myanmar is the travel. Yes, we can still travel. Like, there's places that's perfectly safe to travel to. I actually went to one of these places. It's called Inle Lake, in the lake area. I ran a 33-kilometer trail run there this weekend, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area. The lake itself is the second biggest lake in Myanmar, 22 kilometers long, 11 kilometers wide, and on the banks of this lake, there's these floating stilled houses, like a whole communities or like small communities that live on these stilled houses. And they've got floating markets, and one of the markets actually floats to different villages or like different communities every day. So the market is there. Mountains, just the mountains that separate, that encircles this lake and the whole town and everything. It's a stunning place. Like Inle Lake, definitely one of like the most beautiful places in this country. But then you get Bagan. So Bagan has over 2,000 pagodas and shrines and things. 2,000. And at some stage, like hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, there was even more. There was thousands and thousands of them, right? So it's this archaeological site where you can see all these beautiful, beautiful pagodas. Hpa-An is another place. So I'm going to go there because like I said, I'm a runner, and there's a lot of like hiking, caves, because it's surrounded by these sandstone karst mountains. So you can hike and you can run there, and you can see all these caves, and there's like rice, I think it's rice paddies. Maybe it's tea, I think it's rice paddies, like everywhere. Like this it's a beautiful area. I can't wait to go there, by the way. It's really nice. And then you get Kalau as well. Don't know a lot about Kalau. It's close to Mandalay. So there's these opportunities and these places where you can go to, right, in Myanmar. And I think, just in summary, like if you are considering coming here and you are stressed or you're wondering, I hope that I can tell you that it's not that bad living here. It's actually very, very nice living here. And most people that live here tend to stay here for longer than their initial contracts, because it is so nice for them to live here, right? I hope this helped. The next video I'm going to talk about the bad stuff, about like not the bad stuff, but the difficult stuff as an expat that I'm still struggling with, and that sort of like is stopping me from really adapting to this place and really enjoying myself in Yangon. So stay tuned for that. That will be next Friday. But yeah, enjoy, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.